Katakana, Pian Fan Ming Katakana. Katakana Japanese pronunciation, katakana is a Japanese syllabary, one component of the Japanese writing system along with hiragana, kanji, and in some cases the Latin script known as romaji. The word katakana means, fragmentary kana, as the katakana characters are derived from components or fragments of more complex kanji. Katakana and hiragana are both kana systems. With one or two minor exceptions, each syllable strictly mora in the Japanese language is represented by one character, or kana, in each system. Each kana represents either a vowel such as a, katakana a consonant followed by a vowel such as ka, katakana ka, or n, katakana n, a nasal sonorant which, depending on the context, sounds either like English m, n, or ing, or like the nasal vowels of Portuguese. In contrast to the hiragana syllabary, which is used for Japanese words not covered by kanji and for grammatical inflections, the katakana syllabary usage is quite similar to italics in English. Specifically, it is used for transcription of foreign language words into Japanese and the writing of loan words, collectively gerego, for emphasis, to represent onomatopoeia, for technical and scientific terms, and for names of plants, animals, minerals, and often Japanese companies. Katakana are characterized by short, straight strokes and sharp corners. There are two main systems of ordering katakana, the old-fashioned Iroha ordering, and the more prevalent Gojuon ordering. Writing system. Script. The complete katakana script consists of 48 characters, not counting functional and diacritic marks, 5 nucleus vowels, 42 core or body onset nucleus syllabograms, consisting of 9 consonants in combination with each of the 5 vowels, of which 3 possible combinations yi, wu are not canonical. 1 coda consonant. These are conceived as a 5 times 10 grid Gojuon, wu shi yin, literally 50 sounds. As shown in the adjacent table, read a, I, u, e, o, ka, ki, ku, k, ko, and so on. The Gojuon inherits its vowel and consonant order from Sanskrit practice. In vertical text contexts, which used to be the default case, the grid is usually presented as 10 columns by 5 rows, with vowels on the right-hand side and a on top. Katakana glyphs in the same row or column do not share common graphic characteristics. 3 of the syllabograms to be expected, yi, and wu, may have been used idiosyncratically with varying glyphs, but never became conventional in any language and are not present at all in modern Japanese. The 50-sound table is often amended with an extra character, the nasal stop n. This can appear in several positions, most often next to the n signs or, because it developed from one of many mu hentai-kana, below the u column. It may also be appended to the vowel row or the a column. Here, it is shown in a table of its own. The script includes 2 diacritic marks placed at the upper right of the base character that change the initial sound of a syllabogram. A double dot, called dakuten, indicates a primary alteration. Most often it voices the consonant, kg, sz, td and hb, for example, ka becomes ga. Secondary alteration, where possible, is shown by a circular handakuten, hp, for example, ha becomes pa. Diacritics, though used for over 1,000 years, only became mandatory in the Japanese writing system in the second half of the 20th century. Their application is strictly limited in proper writing systems, but may be more extensive in academic transcriptions. Furthermore, some characters may have special semantics when used in smaller size after a normal one, see below, but this does not make the script truly bicameral. The layout of the Gojuon table promotes a systematic view of kana syllabograms as being always pronounced with the same single consonant followed by a vowel, but this is not exactly the case and never has been. Existing schemes for the romanization of Japanese either are based on the systematic nature of the script, e.g. Nihon Siki Kai-ti, or they apply some Western graphotactics, usually the English one, to the common Japanese pronunciation of the kana signs, e.g. Hepburn Shiki Chi Kai. Both approaches conceal the fact, though, that many consonant-based katakana signs, especially those canonically ending in u, can be used in coda position, too, where the vowel is unvoiced and therefore barely perceptible. Japanese. Syllabary and orthography. Of the 48 katakana syllabograms described above, only 46 are used in modern Japanese, and one of these is preserved for only a single use. Y and we are pronounced as vowels in modern Japanese and are therefore obsolete, being supplanted by I and E respectively. Wo is now used only as a particle, and is normally pronounced the same as vowel oo. As a particle, it is usually written in hiragana wo, and the katakana form, wo, is uncommon. A small version of the katakana for ya, you or yo, respectively, may be added to katakana ending in I. This changes the I vowel sound to a glide palatalization to a, u or o, e.g. kya, ki plus ya, kja. Addition of the small y kana is called yun. Small versions of the 5-vowel kana are sometimes used to represent trailing off sounds ha ha, ne ne, but in katakana they are more often used in yun-like extended digraphs designed to represent phonemes not present in Japanese. Examples include che, che in chenji chenji, change, fa fa in famary family, family, and ui y and d in Wikipedia Wikipedia. A character called a sokuon, which is visually identical to a small su-su, indicates that the following consonant is geminated doubled. This is represented in Romaji by doubling the consonant that follows the sokuon. In Japanese this is an important distinction in pronunciation, for example, compare saka saka hill with saka saka author. Geminated consonants are common in transliterations of foreign loanwords, for example English bed is represented as bedo, bedo. The sokuon also sometimes appears at the end of utterances, where it denotes a glottal stop. However, it cannot be used to double the na, ni, nu, ne, no syllables consonants. To double these, the singular n is added in front of the syllable. The sokuon may also be used to approximate a non-native sound. Bak is written baha, baha, mak is maha, maha. Both katakana and hiragana usually spell native long vowels with the addition of a second vowel kana. However, in foreign loanwords katakana instead uses a vowel extender mark, called a chunpu long vowel mark. This is a short line following the direction of the text, horizontal for yokogaki horizontal text, and vertical for tategaki vertical text. For example, mi-ru meru is the garego for email taken from the English word mail. The lengthens the e. There are some exceptions, such as rosoku, las candle, or keitai katai, shiade mobile phone, where Japanese words written in katakana use the elongation mark, too. Standard and voiced iteration marks are written in katakana as, and, respectively. Usage. In modern Japanese, katakana is most often used for transcription of words from foreign languages other than words historically imported from Chinese, called garego. For example, television is written terebi. Similarly, katakana is usually used for country names, foreign places, and foreign personal names. For example, the United States is usually referred to as America America, rather than in its ateji kanji spelling of ya mi li ja America. Katakana are also used for onomatopoeia, words used to represent sounds, for example, pinpon, the ding-dong sound of a doorbell. Technical and scientific terms, such as the names of animal and plant species and minerals, are also commonly written in katakana. Homo sapiens, as a species, is written hito rather than its kanji ren. Katakana are also often but not always used for transcription of Japanese company names. For example, Suzuki is written Suzuki, and Toyota is written Toyota. As these are common family names, Suzuki being the second most common in Japan, it helps distinguish company names from surnames in writing. Katakana are commonly used on signs, advertisements, and hoardings, i.e., billboards, for example, koko koko, here, gomi gomi, trash, or megane megane, glasses. Words the writer wishes to emphasize in a sentence are also sometimes written in katakana, mirroring the European usage of italics. Pre-World War II official documents mix katakana and kanji in the same way that hiragana and kanji are mixed in modern Japanese texts, that is, katakana were used for okorigana and particles such as wa or o. Katakana were also used for telegrams in Japan before 1988, and for computer systems, before the introduction of multibyte characters, in the 1980s. Most computers in that era used katakana instead of kanji or hiragana for output. Although words borrowed from ancient Chinese are usually written in kanji, loanwords from modern Chinese dialects which are borrowed directly use katakana instead. The very common Chinese loanword ramen, written in katakana as ramen, is rarely written with its kanji. There are rare instances where the opposite has occurred, with kanji forms created from words originally written in katakana. An example of this is kohai kohi, coffee, which can alternatively be written as ja-bei. This kanji usage is occasionally employed by coffee manufacturers or coffee shops for novelty. Katakana are used to indicate the onyomi, Chinese-derived readings of a kanji in a kanji dictionary. For instance, the kanji ren has a Japanese pronunciation, written in hiragana as hito person, as well as a Chinese-derived pronunciation, written in katakana as jin used to denote groups of people. Katakana are sometimes used instead of hiragana as furigana to give the pronunciation of a word written in Roman characters, or for a foreign word, which is written as kanji for the meaning, but intended to be pronounced as the original. Katakana are also sometimes used to indicate words being spoken in a foreign or otherwise unusual accent. For example, in a manga, the speech of a foreign character or a robot may be represented by konnichiwa, hello, instead of the more typical hiragana konnichiwa. Some Japanese personal names are written in katakana. This was more common in the past, hence elderly women often have katakana names. This was particularly common among women in the Meiji and Taisho periods, when many poor, illiterate parents were unwilling to pay a scholar to give their daughters names in kanji. Katakana is also used to denote the fact that a character is speaking a foreign language, and what is displayed in katakana is only the Japanese translation of his or her words. Some frequently used words may also be written in katakana in dialogues to convey an informal, conversational tone. Some examples include manga, eitsu, that guy or girl, he, him, her, baka, fool, etc. Words with difficult-to-read kanji are sometimes written in katakana. Hiragana is also used for this purpose. This phenomenon is often seen with medical terminology. For example, in the word pai fu ke hifuka, dermatology, the second kanji, fu, is considered difficult to read, and thus the word hifuka is commonly written pai fu ke or haifu ke, mixing kanji and katakana. Similarly, difficult-to-read kanji such as I-gon, cancer, are often written in katakana or hiragana. Katakana is also used for traditional musical notations, as in the Tozen Ryu of shakuhachi, and in sankyoku ensembles with koto, shamisen and shakuhachi. Some instructors teaching Japanese as a foreign language introduce katakana after the students have learned to read and write sentences in hiragana without difficulty and know the rules. Most students who have learned hiragana do not have great difficulty in memorizing katakana as well. Other instructors introduce katakana first, because these are used with loanwords. This gives students a chance to practice reading and writing kana with meaningful words. This was the approach taken by the influential American linguistics scholar Eleanor Hars Jordan in Japanese, the written language, parallel to Japanese, the spoken language. Ainu. Katakana is commonly used to write the Ainu language by Japanese linguists. In Ainu katakana usage, the consonant that comes at the end of a syllable is represented by a small version of a katakana that corresponds to that final consonant followed by an arbitrary vowel. For instance, up is represented by u, upu u followed by small pu. Ainu also uses three handakuten modified katakana, sei, zei, and su or tu. In Unicode, the katakana phonetic extensions block U+31FO U+31FF exists for Ainu language support. These characters are used for the Ainu language only. Taiwanese. Taiwanese kana is a katakana-based writing system once used to write Holo Taiwanese, when Taiwan was under Japanese control. It functioned as a phonetic guide for Chinese characters, much like furigana in Japanese or zhuyin fahao in Chinese. There were similar systems for other languages in Taiwan as well, including Hakka and Formosan languages. Unlike Japanese or Ainu, Taiwanese kana are used similarly to the zhuyin fahao characters, with kana serving as initials, vowel medials and consonant finals, marked with tonal marks. A dot below the initial kana represents aspirated consonants, and kai, su sa se sa u and o with a superpositional bar represent sounds found only in Taiwanese. Okinawan. Katakana is used as a phonetic guide for the Okinawan language, unlike the various other systems to represent Okinawan, which use hiragana with extensions. The system was devised by the Okinawa Center of Language Study of the University of the Ryukyus. It uses many extensions and yun to show the many non-Japanese sounds of Okinawan. Table of katakana. For modern digraph editions that are used mainly to transcribe other languages, see transcription into Japanese. This is a table of katakana together with their Hepburn romanization and rough IPA transcription for their use in Japanese. Katakana with dakuten or handakuten follow the Gojuon kana without them. Characters shi and su and so and n look very similar in print except for the slant and stroke shape. These differences in slant and shape are more prominent when written with an ink brush. Gray background indicates obsolete characters. Notes. History. Katakana was developed in the 9th century during the early Heian period by Buddhist monks by taking parts of Manyagana characters as a form of shorthand, hence this kana is so called kata, pian partial, fragmented. For example, ka comes from the left side of ka, ja literally increase, but the original meaning is no longer applicable to kana. The adjacent table shows the origins of each katakana. The red markings of the original Chinese character used as manyagana eventually became each corresponding symbol. Early on, katakana was almost exclusively used by men for official text and text imported from China. Recent findings by Yoshinori Kobayashi, professor of Japanese at Tokushima Bunri University, suggest the possibility that the katakana-like annotations used in reading guide marks, Huguji Dian Wakoto Dian Okototen, may have originated in 8th century Korea, possibly Silla, and then introduced to Japan through Buddhist texts. Stroke order. The following table shows the method for writing each katakana character. It is arranged in the traditional way, beginning top right and reading columns down. The numbers and arrows indicate the stroke order and direction respectively. Computer encoding. In addition to fonts intended for Japanese text and Unicode catch-all fonts like Arial Unicode MS, many fonts intended for Chinese such as MS Song and Korean such as Batang also include katakana. Half-width kana. In addition to the usual full-width, Quanjiao Zenkaku display forms of characters, katakana has a second form, half-width, Banjiao Hankaku there are no kanji. The half-width forms were originally associated with the JIS X0201 encoding. Although their display form is not specified in the standard, in practice they were designed to fit into the same rectangle of pixels as Roman letters to enable easy implementation on the computer equipment of the day. This space is narrower than the square space traditionally occupied by Japanese characters, hence the name, half-width. In this scheme, diacritics dakuten and handakuten are separate characters. When originally devised, the half-width katakana were represented by a single byte each, as in JIS X0201, again in line with the capabilities of contemporary computer technology. In the late 1970s, 2-byte character sets such as JIS X0208 were introduced to support the full range of Japanese characters, including katakana, hiragana and kanji. Their display forms were designed to fit into an approximately square array of pixels, hence the name, full width. For backwards compatibility, separate support for half-width katakana has continued to be available in modern multi-byte encoding schemes such as Unicode, by having two separate blocks of characters, one displayed as usual full-width katakana, the other displayed as half-width katakana. Although often said to be obsolete, the half-width katakana are still used in many systems and encodings. For example, the titles of mini-discs can only be entered in ASCII or half-width katakana, and half-width katakana are commonly used in computerized cash register displays, on shop receipts, and Japanese digital television and DVD subtitles. Several popular Japanese encodings such as EUC-JP, Unicode and Shift-JIS have half-width katakana code as well as full-width. By contrast, ISO 2022-JP has no half-width katakana, and is mainly used over SMTP and NNTP. Unicode. Katakana was added to the Unicode standard in October, 1991 with the release of version 1.0. The Unicode block for full-width katakana is U+30AO U+30FF. Encoded in this block along with the katakana are the Nakaguro word separation middle dot, the chun vowel extender, the katakana iteration marks, and a ligature of koto sometimes used in vertical writing. Half-width equivalents to the usual full-width katakana also exist in Unicode. These are encoded within the half-width and full-width forms block U+FF00 U+FF, which also includes full-width forms of Latin characters, for instance, starting at U+FF65 and ending at U+FF9F. Characters U+FF61 U+FF64 are half-width punctuation marks. This block also includes the half-width dakuten and handakuten. The full-width versions of these characters are found in the hiragana block. Circled katakana are code points U+32DO U+32FE in the enclosed CJK letters and months block U+3200 U+32FF. A circled N is not included. Extensions to katakana for phonetic transcription of Ainu and other languages were added to the Unicode standard in March 2002 with the release of version 3.2. The Unicode block for katakana phonetic extensions is U+31FO U+31FF. Historic and variant forms of Japanese kana characters were added to the Unicode standard in October 2010 with the release of version 6.0. The Unicode block for kana supplement is U+1B000 U+1B0FF. Katakana in other Unicode blocks. Dakuten and handakuten diacritics are located in the hiragana block. U+3099 combining katakana hiragana voiced sound mark non-spacing dakuten. U+309A combining katakana hiragana semi-voiced sound mark non-spacing handakuten. U+309B katakana hiragana voiced sound mark spacing dakuten. U+309C katakana hiragana semi-voiced sound mark spacing handakuten. Two katakana-based emoji are in the enclosed ideographic supplement block. U+1F201 squared katakana koko here sign, here character. U+1F202 squared katakana sa service sign, service character. A katakana-based Japanese TV symbol from the ARIB STD-B24 standard is in the enclosed ideographic supplement block. U+1F213 squared katakana data broadcasting service linked with a main program symbol. Furthermore, as of Unicode 11.0, the following combinatory sequences have been explicitly named, despite having no precomposed symbols in the katakana block. Font designers may want to optimize the display of these composed glyphs. Some of them are mostly used for writing the Ainu language, the others are called bidakuan in Japanese. Other, arbitrary combinations with U+309A handakuten are also possible. See also: Japanese phonology, Hiragana, Historical kana usage, Romaji, Gugiol, Todaiji Fujumanko, oldest example of kanji text with katakana annotations. File, Beschreibung van Japan, ABC cropped. JPG for the kana as described by Engelbert Kampfer in 1727.